feelings hurt. Read this.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Payman's Void for another episode of Kármán Line Short Review.
Kármán Line Short Review.
Kármán Line Short Review.
This is the place where you get to watch three cursed filmmakers reviewing short films, because that's what we do.
I don't mind being cursed. I don't mind being cursed.
Denial.
I'm over it.
Denial.
I'm over it.
This is the only place in the world where you can see that, so that's cool.
It's neat.
I guess so. What movie are we reviewing today?
We're reviewing a movie by Sachin Sasi.
Just cut right to it.
Yeah, why mess around? Who?
Sachin Sasi,
Okay.
I believe, is how you name it.
All
That's
right.
how you say his name.
Sachin Sasi.
And the movie is called
yep.
A Different Man.
I think it's safe to say we've got another international submission here.
Wait, is it A Different Man? No.
Not that I recognize
The Different Man.
countries or
The-
nationalities
sorry.
or anything,
The Different Man.
because we don't even live in the same dimension anymore.
Yeah, none of that stuff really matters.
Doesn't matter.
Where we live.
Everything sent to us is
international.
foreign.
International, yeah.
Yeah. Between nations.
So
The nation of void.
Yes. Yeah. Let's get into our first impression.
This is the
Oh, wait.
flag behind me.
Oh, is that it?
The nation of void.
there's a link down in the description so you can go watch the film for
You gotta
yourself.
watch it.
See what you think of it.
Yep.
But we're also going to go ahead and give a quick synopsis of the film. So who wants to do that? Kenny, you do it.
I'd be happy to.
Do it.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the tale of our main character, who's I'd say what in America we'd call the Boomer generation.
Yes.
An older gentleman who is seeing the world through a conservative lens and is just sort of disgruntled about how no one's living lives the way he thinks they should, and he goes about spewing his judgment at all of them, and just maybe he begins to see the error of his ways at the end.
Just maybe.
Yep. Just maybe indeed.
That's it's sort of debatable.
it's actually
That's
debatable.
part
Yeah.
of what we have to talk about.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, well, let's start with our first impressions, shall we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taylor, give me your first impression of The Different Man.
My first impression was a little bit confused. I was confused on whether or not we were supposed to be rooting for the main character or not. And it didn't become kind of clear to me that I believe the intention was for us to not necessarily be rooting for the main character towards the end. But I don't know. I felt like I started resenting the main character a lot. And I was like, man, you are just a really annoying.
Early on,
Yeah.
right? Like as soon as the smoking conversation.
Yeah, it's like you're just
You're
a jerk,
Yeah.
you know? And I think that was more or less intentional when it comes to the end. So I would say I was confused, and I think it was an interesting movie.
Cool.
Why don't you go?
Why don't I go? I had kind of the same experience as you did, Taylor. I kind of loved this movie because of how I want to say individualistic it was. The vision was kind of interesting. It took on like almost a super soap opera moment in the beginning here, especially with that title reveal. How dramatic was that, man?
Yeah, that was insane.
That black and white on color thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there we
jeez, look at that.
Wow.
That's incredible. It's kind of
Anyway,
cool.
yeah, so I kind of like laughed and like fell in love like at the same time, but then yeah, I got confused as to what the message was later on. I was impressed with the lighting and very confused with the cinematography, so that was mine.
Yeah, same thing here with the sort of tonal consistency. Like this was like shot and written in a way that at first made you think you were rooting for this guy, that he was the hero sharing good values with those who haven't seen the error of their ways yet.
That's exactly
That's what
yeah.
it felt like. But as soon as he started planting combs in people's stuff, it
Yeah.
started to get just, I'm like, this dude needs to cool it.
Yeah.
I mean, by the end, when he actually rips the toupee right off that guy's head, now that's physical. Like, this
Right.
is assault.
Yeah.
Now he needs to go to jail. Like, it's just not a... I don't trust this guy. I think he's a bad human being, actually. He is not a good guy.
Yeah.
But I really dug the... I dig the style of all this.
The style was kind of neat.
I would agree. Yeah.
I loved the like the scene where he's talking about the 5 different kinds of people who don't have a reason.
Yeah.
And he said, children, evil people, stupid people, crazy people, and religious people, you know. And we have this like sort of vignette thing going on that is just so wacky and cool. It almost didn't fit with the movie, but I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah, I like that too. Individualistic.
Sweet. Shall we just jump right into our first topic?
Let's
of
go.
writing?
Let's go.
Writing.
All right. In writing. So we were all confused at the very same point. I think at the end, right when he's ripping off the toupee.
Yeah.
Is where it culminated.
Uh-huh.
But I think the writing just in general kind of was confusing.
Yeah. Now, it wasn't easy to read what's happening here. First of all, we all knew he had a toupee on the first time we saw the guy.
Yeah.
I mean, that just didn't look like real hair. So the fact that this guy was so surprised by that fact was silly to me. But when he pulls this off, he drops it, we start to move in. He looks up to the sky.
He nods.
And then he smiles.
He's like, yes.
I don't
there's a
see.
little
There's
smirk
the
there.
smile,
Yeah,
and I'm
smile.
like, I don't. What's happening here
Right
in his
into
head?
the quote. Yeah.
The quote seems to contradict the visual language of the previous shot.
Yeah.
It kind of looked like he felt good about tearing off the guy's toupee.
A little bit.
When
yeah.
I don't feel like that was the objective. I think the objective they were trying to get to was him realizes that he's being over judgmental. He doesn't know what's going on in people's lives, and he needs to cool it.
Right.
Right. But the fact that that seemingly came out of nowhere is a failure in writing of getting us to that point.
Right.
Everything before was writing a story about a man who's on a crusade to fix the ills of the world.
Right.
Yeah.
And it seemed like that's where we were headed. It seemed like all of us were like, go fix those degenerate people, but we weren't. At least I wasn't on board at any time. You know, when he goes over to like this guy, and he starts talking to this guy like
you get it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and the dude's like just ignoring him, which I'm like, yeah, that's how he's like, I'm sorry, what? And I'm like, yeah, that's how he should be acting. But then I'm like, but then he just keeps on going, and I'm like, what's the point here?
He just criticized these guys for smoking.
Yeah.
And he gives this lecture about how we're all in charge of our health and bodies.
Yeah.
And then he does what looks like he walks over here and buys a piece of candy.
That's what I thought.
So I'm like, where are we going with this?
I thought the filmmaker was going to highlight that fact, but they never really did. In fact, there was something. Well, I'll talk about cinematography later. Different thing.
Looking in the camera.
I didn't even see that. That's hilarious. He's like smirking too.
There was a funny. Oh no, that's the cinematography.
The cinematography,
yeah.
So this suffers, I think, from what we want to call. You ready for this long word? Cinema narrative dissonance.
That's not a real word.
It's not a real word, but I made it up, so whatever.
Cinnamon?
Coined.
It's coined.
Cinnamon.
Genuity. Cinema narrative.
Cinnamon
Coined.
Narrative.
Cinnamon? This is a cinnamon narrative.
It has a lot of cinnamon in it.
Gotcha.
Where the language, the visual language, the cinema aspect, and the narrative, the written aspect, do not match.
They clash. They contradict.
clash.
Yeah. Yes.
It's weird because like the visual sense, we're being taught that we should be with this guy throughout this whole thing. That we should be rooting for him, not this guy. This guy.
Our main character.
Our main character. This dude. But it feels like the writing is criticizing him through the dialogue of other characters and whatnot.
As the film goes on, yeah.
Right. And it never seems to land on a certain thing. And we were wondering that at the end when we saw this quote, because it was a neat quote. To whom else but yourself can you explain yourself? Who understands anyone else? I love that idea that you're just kind of like, it seems like the idea of that would be in a like kind of a more expressive piece.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, there's just a person, trying to explain themselves but never come across.
Well, let's try to be useful here. Let's try to be useful human beings.
Okay, sounds good.
If what we're talking about is a character. The central character is someone who's out of touch,
Yeah.
right? And he has an arc that helps reveal to himself that he's out of touch. That's the ideal that they're going for. What do you do differently in the writing
How would
to get across that he is in fact a guy out of touch as opposed to someone with all the right answers?
I think they did a tiny bit of it with the librarian when the librarian was like, "You all need to leave because you're all kind of crazy." And I think
bookstore manager.
When I think what's happening there could have been done throughout, which is have the people around your main character treat him like he is crazy. Treat him as he is. Be like no, actually, you're the weird one here. Have the guy at the candy shop be like, "What the."
But they did though, right?
Not that much. I felt like I felt like everyone was just kind of indifferent towards him, except for towards the end, and the coughing guy who was just insane in and of himself.
The coughing guy, that was so bizarre.
That was very bizarre.
I still don't understand what he meant by saying what else can I do but cough.
So I imagine what they were trying to say there, I think, is that he was not confident in himself and therefore kind of was like making a tweak, kind of sorts, or tick, not a tweak.
Oh,
like a nervous tick?
Yeah, nervous tick. We're just, like something like that. It just wasn't coming off, though.
You don't think they're suggesting that he smokes?
I don't think so.
I thought that's what they were getting at.
That's what
because when he said,
went.
"What am I to do but cough?"
Why is it that you're coughing? Start, middle, and end of every sentence.
What else should I do?
Than cough?
Like, to me, that was like a very...
Tell me. What else is there to do?
Like, that's a very philosophical statement.
Do your job!
I believe what he was alluding to.
I guess.
Is that in-confidence thing. But I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Well, no, it's because he opened up the dialogue with... I have ideas. This isn't what I want to do for the rest of my life. He's like, soon you'll be sending your own emails, and he was like, I don't want to do that. It feels like they were trying to get to a point there, but this is what we're talking about, right? We can't understand what point we're arriving at, and I think that is through kind of weird dialogue, weird visual communication.
Yeah, it's not a cohesive vision, I think, is the problem. The writing's in one place, the cinematography's in another, the artistic vision's in another.
Well, it seems like the dialogue
not quite clicking.
It seems like the dialogue itself is separate from the story almost.
I like the lighting here.
Yeah, lighting's great. That's in cinematography.
I can say I like it.
No, you can't.
What else is there to say but that I like it?
I think if we were to see a change within the man's behavior, I think that would make more sense visually to like bring about a point, to see that he's just the same and that he's not even reacting to other people talking back to him. Seems like we're on his side, and that's what the dialogue was.
Well, and I don't think there wasn't enough to show us that he believed he had a problem or that he had changed.
Right.
So like,
he didn't know he had a problem.
In the movies where people have like a fundamental character change, where they go from I'm treating people badly to treating people well.
Yeah.
It's always good to default to the lessons of Dickens in A Christmas Carol. That's like the perfect story of a bad guy turning good.
Yeah.
It's copied and ripped off over and over and over.
Sure. Very
successfully. And the big thing that it does right is that he becomes aware of the consequences of his actions. Like he actually begins to see that people don't like him,
right,
because he's hurting them in some way,
right?
Yeah,
he starts to understand an outside perspective.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's gradual.
Yeah, and this it could have done that, but it didn't.
Yeah, it didn't at all.
Yeah, and so it felt like we were supposed to be on his side because of that. It's like if we had Scrooge,
Ebenezer Scrooge.
It's like if we, in Christmas Carol, if we were on Scrooge's side and just never went with the ghosts ever.
Right.
Yeah. And then at the end, had still had the same.
I mean, if you fully saw everything from Scrooge's perspective,
yeah,
and didn't have the ghost segments, then you're just like, well, he's doing what's best for his business,
right? and just stick with that.
yeah,
and then like you're not saying anything.
You're not going into Bob Cratchit's house and seeing his dying son.
And and I don't want to say that the character change has to take place, but something needs to happen, right? In the film, we're saying something for a reason, and if that quote, that's what makes me think that the quote was supposed to be more.
That's why I hate quotes in movies. People use quotes either at the beginning or the end.
Yeah.
To drive home the point that their movie failed to make.
Well,
I didn't even realize at the point. I didn't realize 100% that this was the point of the film until the quote at the end came on.
Right.
And I was like, okay, the quote tells me that's what this film was about.
Right.
But the film itself didn't tell
seem
me
to say
that at all.
Another big thing that threw off me was they inadvertently, I believe, set up an expectation for what this story was about by having that line at the beginning that's saying, like, smoking is injurious to your health. Smoking is bad.
Not for me. It didn't show me
But then the first scene, he's talking to his employee about coughing and why do you cough so much? And I'm just like,
that's not a connection I made.
This is like an in-your-face thing about.
Yeah, I thought it was
smoking.
I thought it was
the next scene was about smoking.
And I thought it was an anti-smoking PSA.
At the smoking part where he's talking about for the kids, that part is where I connected it. But when they said here all characters are fictitious, and then the next line about smoking is in the same font and the same thing, it feels like it's part of the
movie
preamble. Yeah. Not of the movie, of the preamble going into the movie.
Oh, see, I didn't feel that way at all.
I felt like it was like a PSA.
Felt like it was like when you open a book and it says to blah blah blah. It's like that part, or the publishing information.
Even if it's not connected, the fact that it says smoking is injurious to your health means that smoking is going to be some part of this.
It
right?
is.
So now I'm already looking for that subconsciously.
That's very true.
And that character starts, and he's like, "Why are you coughing?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, he's smoking."
That is very true. That's very true. Yeah, that's a context situation there, definitely. Yeah.
I was like frustrated the whole movie because I kept I didn't know whether to like it or dislike it because I disagreed with everything the man was saying.
Right.
And I was like, man, if this is the point of the movie, then I absolutely disagree with everything this movie stands for.
Yeah.
But I didn't
until we got to
the end where the quote just says it, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't hate the movie because I don't disagree with the point, but that shot at the end is so confusing because I don't feel like he's learned anything.
He almost looks like an angel.
Yeah, he's been vindicated.
And he's being spoken to by God.
Yeah, he smiles.
Right,
it's the low pushing shot, and then the hero shot, and then this quote that contradicts it.
Ooh, sounds like it's time to transition to cinematography.
I think you're right.
It's a good thing to do. Let's go there.
The makers of this program would like to interrupt this program to talk about their other programs. Go D!
If you happen to be a filmmaker and you've made a short film and you want to hear us talk about it, you can submit it to us via the link in the description.
And if you love what you are seeing here and want to dive deeper into making better movies, you need to join us at our Facebook group, The Kármán Line Cult. There, we have daily discussions about filmmaking, we have weekly live streams, and all kinds of other cool cult-like activities.
And now back to the program.
Can I say about one shot before we get into the heavy shots?
Yeah.
Sure. I have a nitpick shot.
Okay, I got a few too. I hope you don't steal mine.
It's the opening shot.
All right, you take that one.
This opening shot did not need to be in the film.
I didn't do anything.
Yeah, it's also an insane
It
shot.
actually, so this, coupled with him walking to the door and sort of looking at his office and watching people move around, really, it gave you the sensation this is about
his office,
his management of his workspace.
Right.
These are the characters that matter, and this is the place where it's going to happen.
Exactly.
So, since that wasn't the case, why shoot those?
Why shoot them? Yeah. Well, it seemed like even this part, it seemed like they had this idea, right? We're gonna open the movie with this shot of the office going through, and so they shot it, found out it was too shaky. Okay, let's put warp stabilize on it, make sure, and it kind of helps.
It's funny too. You can tell it's way cropped in too.
And it is super cropped in.
You know what's funny is I saw that and I was like, oh, I knew it was warp stabilizer. I knew they were just trying to cover like their mess of a shot, but in in my head, I was like, that's an interesting stylization.
Right.
That's how extreme it is.
That's really funny.
It's worth noting that this is a student film. And the reason why I say it's worth noting that is that many student films require things to happen in it. This type of shot, that type of shot, demonstrate that you can do this, demonstrate that you can do that. So that could be why you have some wacky stuff.
For a student film.
It's a graduation film, though.
Oh.
Even so,
They should know what they're doing.
even
True.
so, when the point of having a film in post and editing it and cutting all the fat, the stuff that you don't need, is to find out shots like this where you're just like, oh, that didn't work. Oh, that didn't say anything about the story. Let's take it out. Not to have it in because you're required to have an establishing shot.
Yeah.
Or go back and reshoot.
They absolutely
the establishing
could
shot.
have opened up in that little office.
They could have.
Just the two guys.
And it would have said
talking.
this exact
You
same
did not
story.
need to set the
Yeah.
setting of
Right.
this office, but you didn't need the establishing shot.
Right.
Especially because the establishing shot was so tight.
The location
anyway.
didn't matter.
Right. Oh, right. And that's the thing is you couldn't even tell what was going on.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
like,
like,
you said,
whoa.
it almost felt surrealistic.
Can I show you
Yeah.
my weird nitpick shot?
Yeah, do it.
So move forward to where he gets up, he brings the water. No, back. He brings the bottle of water to the coughing guy. Okay. Now watch this. Puts it down, and I watch it move by magic. Because it was framed just a little too high for his hand to
Right.
be in the shot. That just felt so awkward to me the first time I saw it.
That's really
I'm like,
funny.
He's moving it with the force.
That was interesting.
What you don't show matters sometimes.
I thought it was weird that he, and I think that goes back to writing, where he offers them water, pushes it towards them, and then we push in on a shot of the laptop.
Not the water bottle.
Yeah, not the water bottle. So I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
so what are we saying with the laptop?
Well, yeah, you're like, what are you writing?
Or what are you writing? And then we cut back to the wide, and I'm like, what's going on here? Like, the visuals are saying something different.
Yeah. And when he's all saying like, hey, what else can I do but cough? I kept thinking, well, you could drink the water.
That's what I was thinking.
I think that's why he brought the water.
That's why he brought it for you, yeah. Yeah. It would have been, I think, better to have a close-up of the guy's face instead, you know. Kind of like, I don't need the water, and feeling nervous, maybe show sweat or something like that if you wanted to go that crazy with it.
So, it's a good time to say the lighting is good.
The lighting is freaking great.
I like this outdoor bit especially.
Yeah.
They,
they're all, like,
They had
great.
access to some good lights.
yeah.
Or they were just really genius about the way
Just-
they shot it.
Or it's lucky.
But like, there's some of this, like the car shot, where he imagines the guy in different clothes.
He carries that comb like he's gonna shank somebody.
Where was that shot? This shot.
This was
Yeah,
hysterical.
that's awesome.
He's all like,
Look at the way this thing is lit, man.
yeah, that's insane.
He has an incredible backlight.
That looks like one of those eye in the sky Super Bowl kind of things.
Right.
Look how
And then he
blue
has like
is.
this super blue shot. Like, it's really neat looking,
Yeah.
all that stuff. But yeah, it almost does nothing for the visuals except for that, yeah. The toupee.
I kind of like this sequence.
I did too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
but
liked
I
all
didn't
the things
understand
that
it.
had a little bit of a
To be that bohemian.
of a surreal bent to it. You know, was fun. I wish it went all the way.
Yeah.
Wait, what was that? What was the point of the sequence?
It didn't. It didn't.
I think-
it was him making the point that his hair is ridiculous.
Yeah, he's like,
saying, look,
someone with
this
that
guy's
hair
all
would-
professional looking, and
yeah.
his hair looks like a beach bum.
Right. So
Yeah.
he
No.
should be dressed that way.
He said that hair goes with this kind of clothes.
Gotcha. Okay. That
That's
makes
what he's
sense.
saying.
Yeah. I thought that was a neat editing thing.
By the way, he looks way better in these clothes.
I didn't catch on to that point until after the movie. Once I knew for fact that the point of the movie was to be non-judgmental, and so I think that's an interesting way to show him being judgmental.
Yeah.
He's just trying
But
to
I-
see all
well,
the world.
I just
away.
wish it was clear from the beginning. You
Right.
know?
That's the part that I brought this up to you guys before the ramen scene in that anime that I saw. I like the idea that we're projecting what's inside of this person's head.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially when we're writing it to be that way. You know, it's what it seems like, is that this whole thing takes place inside of his head, that he's very self-righteous for everything that he says. However, the film seems to then knock back at it with like the dialogue from other characters, and then it just gets really confusing. One of the things also that also seemed to suggest that every shot is about him and about his way of thinking. Not only is this fun thing where it's all this all exists within his dialogue,
Yeah.
while the guy he's talking to does not even pay attention.
Yeah, look, they're in front of the candy shack.
shop. Yeah, I saw that. With different colors in it too. But also this part.
Yeah, that's foreshadowing.
So he has the bookmark. Yeah, it's just
It's foreshadowing that next we're going to go to a bookstore.
right. That's all it was. I'm like, why are you doing this?
He's like, you dropped something, man. Books.
Bookmark.
I'm going to go to a bookstore.
Right. Yeah.
Again, a cool shot.
Cool shot though. You know. Also, this was also really weird. The rack focus shot.
Oh, that
was
strange.
so bizarre. I laughed.
We all were
was
like, what?
Wait, look at that guy.
Where was that shot? That was a funny shot.
It's right after he says something to those guys, and then they rack focus to the candy salesman.
Right there.
Yeah, there it is. Must you gamble with your health? Zoop.
Like that's saying like that is the line. Like the guy at the shop heard that line. He's like, oh,
Right.
now I have to pay attention to what they're talking about.
Right.
But it's like, what's the importance
So
of
when
the
we go
line
back to that
him?
guy, he doesn't care.
And he
Yeah.
doesn't care.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Yeah, like I thought the Candyman was gonna say something
We needed
about
a movie about this girl. She was the most interesting person in this.
I thought the line about the health and the candy guy who was looking at him, I thought he was gonna say something then about it. You know, make a comment about, oh, you're buying candy though right now, and somehow get a philosophical debate.
So, by the way, this is back into writing, but was she suggesting that the guy was being pervy by
That he was hitting on her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounded like it.
Kind of seemed that way, yeah.
Pardon me, sir, but are you married? What do you gain by asking such a question to a man your father's age? Well, I gain nothing, but you could have from the statutory warning against sex, pronounced by the seers and sages of thousands of years.
And then
now
they're
all
like laughing at him?
Ha ha ha.
Well,
You old
what did she
pervy
say?
Man.
What did she just say though?
I don't know. The comb sequence made me furious.
But it was great because it was so well shot too.
It was.
And this
Except
is
for
what-
this, it looks like he's going to kill that guy.
Well, so this is what's interesting
Here
about it.
comes my comb.
Right? All these shots are intended, obviously.
Yeah.
They're saying one story, and it feels like it's distracting from the point, because we have this close up of the comb, and then a voyeur shot. Look at that.
Yeah, wait. Who's watching that way?
A voyeur shot of him planting it, which means that we're supposed to think it's mysterious, right? We're supposed to imagine now seeing him across the hall that this is like a mysterious kind of thing that he's doing. And they pull it off really, really well. The visual is great. He's behind here.
Oh, a comb.
We're like, oh man, he's discovering something. Like an amateur would have cut up really close, to this guy, and then the story becomes about him. This is still focused on the other guy's perspective. So clearly, we're supposed to be in the main character's mind. But I don't get why. I never have known why. Are we supposed to feel good about the judgy? Because that's what it feels like.
I mean,
Split diopter.
They could have taken
Oh
it.
shit!
Did
You're
they?
saying that wrong. Split diopter.
Is it?
That's what I just said.
That
It's
is.
a diopter.
Look at that.
There's an extra I in there.
Diopter.
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 Diopatter.
There we go.
There you
I like
that's
that
it.
one.
That's it.
Yeah. Look at that. See, look at that line. They have
Yeah.
a nice line right there.
That's a great line, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how they did it in Pulp Fiction. Kind of.
Man,
It's a pretty good use of it,
they
actually.
did some really cool
Yeah.
stuff with a really just weird movie.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
He's such a dick.
So when he said that, okay, so
Why
this
don't you use it on your head?
this shot actually makes more sense than
I hate you.
why you would use a split diopter here. He's saying it to himself, right? While thinking about the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so when this shot came up, I was thinking, how did that other guy not hear him? Because they're both in focus. So to me, it means that they're both listening to each other. That's interesting. Because if you imagine if he was out of focus and he said, "Why don't you use it on your head?" You'd be like, he's just talking to himself. What an insane guy.
Yeah, sounds crazy.
That's true.
That's still a little bit voyeur, but also a reaching out to make a connection.
Right.
It's like trying to break through the voyeur.
He looks sad.
Oh my God, he didn't use it.
He put it in his pocket.
Don't put it in your pocket.
This is so. It's so.
I dislike this person.
It's so right. It's so neat to be so close with someone that you disagree with.
Yeah.
You know, I really like that idea, but there's no point to it at the end.
I
I
like the idea of putting an audience in the shoes of someone who's just very dissatisfied with the world around them.
Yeah.
And just kind of thinks that everyone's doing things wrong. Go completely into their POV. Even if there isn't a resolution, I think it'd be interesting just to portray that character as just a sad story.
Right.
Like, this is just sad how that there's people like this.
You know, and it seems like that's where they were headed with this.
Yeah, but then they hinted like there was an arc.
Right.
That's kind of messed it up.
Yeah.
There's no arc.
Yeah. Yeah, I think had we...
Or a botched one, if that.
That is really interesting, though. Like, the idea that we have a shot that's a reaction shot to the thing that he just did, it's so siding with him. This whole movie is just cementing his perspective, which means that we're supposed to get something from it, you know? Especially with the quote at the end.
He's just mortified the guy's not combing his hair right then and there.
Yeah, I love that.
He's like, why? Why aren't you just combing your hair?
There's such good use of film language, just not in the right way.
Can you play forward a bit?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Man, here he comes, and he's like, I have to say something. I just have to. He's like, I'm gonna leave. I can just leave it? No, I can't.
This was cool.
This is in his head. Then,
yeah,
right?
That was a really cool use, I think, of
I gotta go back.
Visual language.
I gotta say something.
This was a weird shot.
I know. It was like, hey, look at the watch.
Yeah. I love that shot. This is so great. And I like the dynamic shot here between the tall
Would you please comb your hair?
That's so good. And his reaction is so great. He's like, it's my head.
The guy looks more handsome with his toupee off. Bald is beautiful.
Who's that?
Oh, yeah. That's someone important.
Someone important.
Clearly, by the way it's shot.
It looks like it was put there in post almost.
That was the inventor of hair combs.
Mm.
Yep. Frederick Comb.
Should we move on to sound?
I want to go back to writing.
Ooh.
Let's move forward to sound. What do we have to say about sound?
The Foley is really dry, and his footsteps
Sounded like high heels.
sound like high heels. Yeah, it sounds like he's the lightest man around. Just these really high pitched, like click click.
Wrong
Footsteps.
physics.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very light.
They almost sound like stock footprints.
Yeah.
Footsteps.
Yeah,
I'm
I think
sure
that's
they
what
are.
were. Yeah.
And when I said that all the Foley is dry, I mean that it doesn't sound like it exists in the world.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
so that's
yeah.
when you just get
Reverb.
Foley and just put it in there.
Yeah.
without
This is
adding
something
anything.
we learned on our own from just our own experience, is that there is not a collection of pre-recorded Foley sounds in the world that will ever do what you need them to do.
Right.
Like, it
Yeah.
has to be custom every time. And what's great about Foley is that it is the cheapest part of production.
Yeah.
Anyone
Yeah.
could do it, and it's not hard. I mean, it's
it
just
takes,
long.
it takes a lot of
It takes
time.
And
a lot of
finesse.
time, but you can do it,
Yeah.
you know. But you're talking like we made footstep sounds for the stakeout by like like with our hands and cardboard and stuff.
Right.
You know, it was just cheap stuff, just what we had around.
Yeah. Just to make sure it
Anyway.
matches.
Yeah.
Season it.
Seasoning is good.
Reverb / mixing /
Yes.
distorting,
Yes.
doing all kinds of different things.
Yeah, and proximity. Get the mic close, put the
proximity.
mic farther away.
Yeah, that's one thing I think about his footsteps here is that it sounded really close.
Yeah, it's
He
like
was
right
really
in your
far away.
face.
I thought the music was actually pretty well done.
The music fit.
Yeah,
I don't even remember any of it.
that's what I think what was so nice about it.
Yeah.
Is that it kind of brought you into the mood without you actually realizing it. However, I think it was a little misappropriated. Again, this is it points out the dissonance here between what we're saying and what we mean. With the music being kind of floaty, it kind of makes sense that we're making fun of the guy's perspective.
Yeah, the music kind of sounds like, this guy's a dope.
Right.
And yet we're still in his perspective.
Like that.
Yeah.
Like
It's
this is a really
comedy.
goofy thing that's happening. Yeah. Yeah, but clearly it means a lot to him. And clearly from our perspective. If this whole movie was from someone else's perspective or from the outside perspective looking in at this guy, it would make a lot more sense. The whole thing I think would have been a lot more together because the dialogue, the quote at the end, everything would point to this guy being just nuts, which is great. I love that idea. But I also like this idea, but I just wish it was done differently.
I just wish the ending was more clear
Yeah.
without having the need for a quote.
The first scene,
I was going to say the first thing.
the office scene, the audio was kind of all over the place. I feel like it was all shot with a single source.
That is what it feels like.
Maybe the mic on the camera. You can hear the proximity dramatically shift as the guy walks around the desk.
Anything else? Also mention
A lot of reverb.
the enclosed documents.
Look at that light flare on them. Woo!
I had this idea where I would put
This was good mixing though, right here,
on the catalog.
where they brought his voice down.
And they brought out
Yeah.
the office
Yeah.
sounds a bit.
But again, that's highlighting his perspective.
Yeah, and it was like, why?
Why?
Because it was
Exactly.
like, oh, all these people in the office all doing their
Yeah.
things.
So I thought it was
Clearly
like
this
you said.
matters.
Like you said in the beginning, like it felt like now we're gonna be like, okay, what's he gonna do to like make everyone better for his office, for his management, because clearly people are having problems.
Yeah, the printer's not working. You got a girl dropping her papers.
right,
Or a guy, someone drops papers.
someone papers and they don't care about it,
He goes,
and he's like, or actually he goes,
Yeah.
he nods.
he goes like, it actually felt like he's saying, I'm so proud of my,
I'm so proud of my
proud
workers."
of my team. See,
funny.
maybe it's the maybe the actor just.
Maybe it's the actor.
He just is doing the opposite of. I mean,
What he's supposed to be doing.
yeah. He sees problems in his workspace and he nods.
He goes, yeah.
He learns a troubling lesson about himself and he smiles.
He's probably, I'm guessing, in the actor's mind, nodding like, okay, this needs to be fixed,
Right.
right?
Right.
But visually, that does
Or
not come across.
I learned a tough lesson about myself, so I smile, going like,
right
there you go.
at the end, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, egg on my face.
But it's more like he's like, I am right.
That's what it feels like.
I
yeah.
am victorious.
It's like, I'm
I
gonna-
got his wig.
I got-
See,
I
that
got
shows
his
him.
wig. Yeah, that was insane.
Like, seriously, shoot that man. Shoot him.
Yeah.
He's a bad guy.
That toupee probably costs a lot of money too.
Oh, sure. Now, he looks fine without it, though. I mean, you can just own... don't wear a toupee. You look good.
That was a great shot.
I know. This is shot well. We're done with that. We're talking about sound. What does it sound like, D?
I don't know.
This sounds like he's reacting the wrong way.
So wait, so
to
what
the
is it?
scene.
We have this inspirational track now.
Yeah.
That's
It's inspirational because he's being vindicated.
Yeah, what does that mean?
It's because he was correct all along.
See, that's what just
He's the
But
hero.
that's not what the quote says.
It's definitely shot like it's a triumphant moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shot, sounded,
It's-
acted as
yeah.
if it's triumphant.
Yes.
Yeah.
All
But-
the way around.
Except for the script.
And then it's like, what the?
So strange. So
Taught
strange.
that little prick.
Let's,
Oh, jeez.
Let's go into
got
questions.
Your wig.
Yeah, question it. It's time to question this
Yeah.
filmmaker.
It's
What
time.
time?
It's time for questions.
This is the time where we ask questions directly to the filmmaker. We ask all the rest of the audience to please play along. Write your questions in the comments below. Our filmmakers often show up and answer their questions, and we have a good old time.
Good old time. So, this is to Sachin Sasi, or someone else who wants to answer, but Sachin.
Whoever wants to speak for this movie.
Yes, whoever wants to speak for him. So, my question for you is, wow, there is a difference between the visual language and the written here, and I want to know, was there one vision going throughout? Did you or someone else write this movie and that same person carry it out to the end? Or was there multiple versions? Did you have someone who was really good at shooting the movie but didn't necessarily have the script with them or something like that? It feels off-center. It feels like there's one person that's disagreeing with another idea here. So basically I just want to know if it was all one vision or if it was kind of split up.
What were you trying to say with this film? I just would like to hear that clearly from you.
I just saw something
What'd you see?
based on a short story.
Oh. Based on a short story by
That-
Manoj Das
That actually kind of,
and co-produced by Brain Sparrow Film School.
I guess so. That kind of answers a little bit of my question. What's different about this man?
Oh, the title?
Yeah.
Yeah, why is it called The Different Man?
Right, because he seems.
Did he become a different man?
Did he become
after
different?
that?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
yeah.
He seems like just a very judgy character.
I'd also like to know how you lit the outdoor sequences, the outdoor night sequence, and the logistics of just sort of putting together your cool spinning vignette with the three actors being the 5 different types of
That was
idiot.
neat. Yeah.
I thought that was really cool, and what were they standing on, and how'd you make them turn, and I like hearing about that kind of stuff. Taylor!
What kind of movies do you want to make? Bam, keeping it simple.
Very nice. There's a
Foley artist.
There's a Foley artist here,
Good.
which means these were customized.
It doesn't always mean that.
Doesn't sound like it.
Doesn't always mean that. Okay. Cool.
Very good.
We got everything then.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Thanks for submitting your film.
Yes, thank you very much.
We want to see more.
Yeah.
Always want to see more.
Yeah, if you got more movies, send them to us. And if you don't have more movies, go make another movie.
And
then
send
you
it
can
to us.
send it
And
to
then
us.
send it to us.
And tell your friends.
To send us their movies.